the explosion.
Right.
But then, and then February comes along
Mm-hmm.
and an even bigger explosion. But
Whoa.
the big difference is it didn't happen to me. It happened to a good friend of mine and roommate, and one of the greatest people that this world has ever known. So,
Wow.
and then it affected me even more.
Welcome, dear podcast family. It's good to be back. This is part three of our 4 or 5 series podcast with Ryan, the US war veteran. He started his story of his war in Iraq in the last episode, from about the middle of the last episode. We've already had 2 episodes before this, and the first one was an introduction to Ryan about his family and just a general introduction. The second one was about his work, how he deploys empathy in his work, how he attends to the people he works with, and how he restores hope in his workspace, and at the same time how he balances it for himself while being with people who feel hopeless in life. So he needs to constantly reaffirm hope within himself and have faith within himself to be able to uh, be that the the medium of energy through which people see hope within themselves. So that's a very nice podcast too, which is part two. We are in part three today, where he is continuing on his story of the experiences in Iraq. Uh, he, uh, he ended the last podcast telling us about his experience in particular of when a bomb hit him around 7 months after his tenure over there. And then in this podcast, as you heard with in the short clip in the start, he talks about how uh, the war affected him even more deeply without affecting him directly. So there are hard impacts of the war, and uh, you'll hear him say this, not in this podcast but in the next episode, that nobody wins in war. And I think that's true. Nobody wins in war, but a mission is a mission, and he had to serve his country, and he did so with great pride and honor. And he learned to be of better service through the experiences and through what he saw in that short 1 year, 2.5 months period. He learned about life. And I'll let you hear the podcast, and maybe we can have a short discussion at the end of the podcast. This is going to be a deep one, so that's why I just buckled in. I just came to tell you to buckle in, like wear your seat belts, drive safe, and be alert, be careful, uh, soak in the messages. Don't let this one pass by. Take care, and I'll meet you on the other side. So he
Um,
was directly under the bomb, or he was in the
yeah,
vicinity of the bomb.
he drove over it, and then it went
It
off
was a
underneath the
mine.
truck.
It was a mine.
Oh yeah, you could call it a mine,
So
but
everyone in the truck got affected. Everyone died.
no, only the driver died. The guy on the gun, he survived.
Mm-hmm.
The leader survived,
Right. Right.
and but I mean, there are worse things than death.
Right.
Surviving something like it's just horrible. But I mean, I'm
Right.
grateful that they did live. And
Right.
it
Right.
was a
But they carry that traumatic experience all throughout
yes,
life, which is also a different type of suffering.
yes, more
Right.
mental, more mental and physical because there was
So
a lot
how
of physical injuries. No, go ahead.
Right. How many people in a truck?
3.
3. Okay, okay. So your friend was the only one to get affected, to die.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
that's sad. Well, what was your friend's name, and tell me something about him?
Eric Ramirez, and
Mm-hmm.
he was an awesome individual.
Mm-hmm.
Most kind, most humble, most experienced, and generous. Most generous. He loved
Eric? What's his full name? Eric?
Eric Eric
Right.
Ramirez RAM.
Ramirez.
Yeah, I haven't linked my profile,
Okay.
and it's a lot easier to talk about him today than it was,
Mm-hmm.
even 2 3 years ago. That
Mm-hmm.
I do more talk about it, and then I do, because one of the most things that I haunts me, that is that I see him before he left, and
Mm-hmm.
now that I know that that was the last time I see him, my mind goes to places, well, that are very dark, and
Right.
and then after years of therapy and understanding why I got to survive that, you know, and I wanted just to hug him and tell him I love him, and that. But he was really trying to save me. In my mind, I was trying to save him, but I think that he was trying to save me from my life and all the other things that I wasn't living up to. Those
Mm-hmm.
expectations of serving people, because I didn't really live up to those at that time. I was very
Right.
selfish, and I mean, I was still a good person, but there's many more things to do in this world than just be good.
Right.
Where you can add value and still be good, but add value, be humble, and there's more levels to that. What I
So
really
you were
wanted to,
you were in the truck with him.
well, no, that like before. So there's a couple hours, like maybe
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 hours before when I saw him, because I was
Mm-hmm.
coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and he was going out, so
Right.
we were switching. So,
Okay.
and like I
Understood.
said, he was trying to save me, and I understand those lessons that he was trying to teach me,
Oh, so
that to
was
be
it like
humble.
he took your place and you were going to go into that truck, or he was supposed to go into that truck?
Well, I mean, I want to be respectful to the family, and I understand that when you lose somebody, it's really traumatic, and I'll put it in that sense. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as history,
Mm-hmm.
and the context of history, yeah, that was his time, and I
Right.
understand that now. If it's your time, it's my time. I have no control over that.
Right.
No matter, in my mind, that if I just shot him in the foot or something, he wouldn't have gone out there.
Hmm.
Or if I grabbed him or something, or I
Hmm.
prevent him from going out and fulfilling his mission,
Hmm.
you know, fulfilling that service to others.
Hmm.
And I don't think that he would want me to do that. If
Right.
it, no matter what the cost is, I'm willing to pay it. And if
Right.
it's the cost is my life, then that's the way fate has provided. But while I'm still living and breathing, I do have a choice to serve
Hmm.
others and be in the service of others. And
Right.
to that point where it's much like a book. Each
Mm-hmm.
book has different chapters of your life. No one
Mm-hmm.
chapter is more important than the next. But
Right.
when it's over, that book is closed.
Mm-hmm.
It's put back on the shelf for the future generations to learn from your wisdom and then apply
Right.
that wisdom to what they're
Right.
doing.
Right.
So I hope that makes
Right.
sense.
Yes. 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 It does. This is as genuine and real as you can get on a podcast. This is as genuine and real you can get with people. This is as genuine and real life can get. This podcast is in the memory of Eric Ramirez. As Ryan said, the world's best person, and it is hereby declared that he shall be forever remembered to be a generous, kind, loving, supportive, friendly, and uh, a good human. Life may not seem fair uh, for so many of us. It may not seem fair that what happened to him may not seem fair, but life's life, and what happens happens. So like Ryan said, the best you can do is to hug your dear and near ones and let them know that you love them. So hug your dad if you've had a fight with him and try to make things better. Hug your mom and don't need to and realize that you don't need to fight about the small things with her. And be grateful that you're alive with her today. Enjoy the walk that you have with your dog today, in the morning and in the evening, because you don't know whether she's going to be there tomorrow. Call a friend and inquire whether they are healthy, whether they are well. Call them to just tell them that you love them and you were thinking about them. Be sincere in your words, or pray for them wherever you are. This podcast is, in fact, one of the deepest podcasts of this journey, and it's come out pretty early, episode number 23 or 24, and it's very deep. And this was the part I was scared of. Not scared of putting out, but I didn't know how to put it out. So that's why I have to, because from the other end of the computer, even I was finding it difficult to take. So that's why there is extra cushioning at the start, there's extra cushioning at the end, so that it's easier for the listener to absorb and soak in and understand the message. That being said, thank you for being a patient and nice listener. It is really wonderful to have you over here. I'd like to mention some names. I met a woman whose name is Preeti, and she is one of the sweetest person. She's one of the sweetest people I've met in a long time. Very pleasant demeanor, and very, very, very courteous, very, very welcoming, very acknowledging, very, what do you say? Yeah, I think I'd just repeat the words again. Very welcoming, very, very acknowledging, very, her presence made you feel like you were present. And it was very, very nice speaking with her. And I hope all of you try to embody her values and go out in the world and serve the people around you. Thank you for your time. I'll meet you on the next podcast.